Hello, I hope you're having a great work day. Thank you for joining us on today's ESA webinar. We've all seen the recent headlines about Interlogix winding down their US and Canada operations. Parts will not be manufactured after the end of this year, and many dealers faced with this reality want to know their options. In today's time together, we'll explore one such avenue with APD. In this webinar, Project, Service Parts, and Conversion Options, we'll walk through some possible strategies on converting to other product lines and what you can do about existing projects and obtaining service parts. I'm Jillian Bateman. I'm ESA's Chief Development Officer, and I'll be facilitating today's webinar. But before I hand it over to APD's John Dobratz in just a moment, I'd like to go through a few practical notes about what you can expect in today's interactive session for those first-timers joining us. All callers will be muted for the duration of the webinar, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. At any time, please feel free to ask a question by clicking into this question section of your control panel. We'll be fielding these questions to our presenters throughout the webinar, so no need to save those questions until the end. We want to make this a collaborative experience, so if something pops up, go ahead and ask it. We'll also be recording today's webinar for you, so you can rewatch the on-demand video at your leisure. You will all receive an email tomorrow thanking you for your attendance with a link to the recording. Feel free to share that with other employees and industry peers. We at ESA realize your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending some of that time with us today. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce John Dobratz. John has worked in low voltage distribution for over 20 years. He has run Alarm Products Distributors, or APD, for the last 10. He has experience working with dealers on system design, product recommendations, and resolving vendor issues. John, I'll let you take it from here.
Hello all, I'm John Dobratz, President of Alarm Products Distributors, otherwise known as APD. On the call with me is one of our salespeople and Director of Technology, David Jackson.
Hello.
Today I'm going to talk about Interlogix winding down their operations and how that relates to existing projects, service parts, and conversion options. I'll stop periodically to take questions. First, I'll start with a brief introduction. Alarm Products Distributors is a wholesale distributor of low voltage equipment in business since 1972. We are a family business that I've been involved in for over 20 years in various roles, including sales, operations, and ownership. We only sell to licensed contractors. We will not sell to e-tailers or end users. We are a large stocking distributor in Interlogix. However, that stock will start to deplete as customers start to transition to other product lines. We have a team of 11 knowledgeable salespeople that have experience as manufacturers, reps, distribution sales, and dealer integrators like some of you on the call. Finally, we are a supporting sponsor of various ESA events and other industry groups. As for what's happening, on Thursday, September 19th, rumors started to come out that Interlogix was going to close. This was confirmed by Interlogix later that evening with the email on your screen. A quick summary is that Interlogix will not be manufacturing or selling products after December 31st, 2019. Interlogix plans to stand behind their products through 2020 and beyond, as per this email. They do mention anticipating increased demand for product and handling that volume on a first-come, first-served basis. That being said, we may run into longer than usual lead times on some products. We've been assured that the DDNS and UltraSync services will continue to operate after the wind down. I reconfirmed that today. These platforms are still being used in other countries, and they have no plans to shutter this service at this time. However, the associated products such as TrueVision, NVRs, and DVRs and UltraSync panels will no longer be manufactured. Double check today, they have 900 UltraSync mod hubs in stock. After that, those will not be available. So anybody using that, keep that in mind if you're using those mod hubs that they recently released. Does anybody have any questions over the last couple of slides?
We don't have any yet,
Like
John.
UP.
Okay. With no questions, I'll proceed. Slide. After hearing the news, we called every one of our Interlogix dealers, and the first thing we tackled with them was what to do about existing jobs and service items. There are a few different options that we're helping our dealers with. First, you can work with your distribution partners to bring in Interlogix equipment for your upcoming jobs and pending service tickets. Second, I have a couple of dealers with a large installed base that were able to run reports on typical service item usage, and they brought in stock for the first part of 2019, 2020. Third, which I'll go over in detail over the next few slides, is that you can convert upcoming jobs to a different product line and use third-party sensors for service tickets and add-ons. The path that most dealers and integrators seem to be taking is a combination of those listed.
Hey, John, I'm just going to interrupt quick. It looks like people are having a hard time seeing the slides. Is that true?
I'm answering a few of those questions in real time, Dave, but guys, you should have two control panels here, two windows. One will have the slides and the others will be where you ask your questions. And I'll respond to each of these questions individually.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about the existing jobs, service items, anything like that?
Go ahead, John.
Okay. No problem. So over the next few slides, I'll go over the options that we've been talking to our dealers about for conversions. Make sure to talk to your distribution partners about conversion programs and product demos. Most vendors are getting aggressive to convert Interlogix business, and your distribution partners should know about those programs. Our branch information and my contact information will be available at the end of the PowerPoint if you want to use APD as a resource. And this list of manufacturers is in no way complete, but this is the options that we are leading with. Hikvision, obviously one of the major OEM partners of Interlogix, but there's no cross-compatibility. Interlogix recorders block the MAC addresses of Hikvision camera, and Hikvision recorders block the MAC addresses of Interlogix cameras. Hikvision does have a complete line of... Go on.
Sorry to interrupt you there, John. I do just want to make sure everybody is aware that is on the IP side of video. TVI will be compatible.
They do have a complete line of CCTV if you want to move forward with just Hikvision and no cross-compatibility to the IP side of Interlogix. But thanks, Dave, for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Dawa has an entry-level video kit, similar price to Interlogix, has on-VIF compatibility with the TrueVision. However, it is a Chinese platform, and therefore tariffs and NDAA compliance can be a problem. For those not familiar, NDAA, otherwise known as the McCain Act, prohibits certain manufacturers like Hikvision and Dawa from being installed in government buildings and some government-funded installations. Digital Washtag has options ranging from entry-level embedded video kits all the way up to their Spectrum server-based options with Smart Search and Analytics. Now, there are other options available depending on the application, but these are the ones that seem to be the best fit for the Interlogix dealers that we have spoken to. Does anybody have any questions regarding the video conversion options? Intrusion. There are a handful of intrusion options available depending on if you want to use the alarm.com backend that use the 319 sensors or both. Qualsys is a self-contained panel with an alarm.com backend. It supports Interlogix sensors with additional frequencies available. So you could run a DSC frequency and Interlogix sensors a Honeywell, and Interlogix sensors, which makes it a great takeover option. The DSC Neo, and DSC is acquiring Qualsys, is a hybrid panel with encrypted wireless, superior range, and an Alarm.com backend. However, the Neo side of the house doesn't have any wireless sensor compatibility with Interlogix. 2GIG, they offer a panel with 2 different screen sizes. It's self-contained with an Alarm.com backend. However, that uses a different frequency than the Interlogix. Alula, also known as Resolution Products, makes compatible sensors, a panel with a proprietary backend that can support Interlogix sensors, and translator modules to convert between wireless technologies. So if you want to convert your Interlogix sensor to a Honeywell and put it on a Honeywell panel, you could do that with a resolution translator. Health Products, they make a higher-end integrated panel that can support a 319.5 receiver, which is the Interlogix frequency, but they have a proprietary backend. NAPCO, they make a traditional hybrid alarm panel with proprietary backend and no wireless device compatibility. MaxOut, they make compatible sensors to work with the Interlogix panels. Magnasphere, they make high security contacts for high security and government applications. They also make standard door window contacts for your everyday use. Any questions about the intrusion side of the conversion?
We'll pause here. Go ahead and type your questions into the question and answer control panel. Okay, go ahead, John.
Our next section is on access control. I'm going to have Dave Jackson lead with that. He's more familiar with the access control technologies that we have access to.
All right, thanks, John. Yeah, there's several options in the access control out there. ICT is a web interface-based programming, so similar to the True Portal option that was out there. It actually is one of the few that is a native intrusion access control combination unit. Basically, to go from access to intrusion, all you do is add the keypad. Pro Data Key, or PDK, is a great, actually web-based, app-driven, so similar to what you were experiencing with Interlogix True Portal. The one thing I do want to point out with that is it is actually an RMR base for you as an option, which is something that people are always looking for. Cantech, oh, I forgot to mention, they do have a video integration with Digital Watchdog as well. Cantech has an integration with DSC and ExactVision within that family. It is going to be a software-driven base access control. Carry Systems has a wide variety of different platforms that you can use, from app-based all the way to software-based. So I'm not going to dig too deep into the individuals. Alarm.com has their new Arrow coming out Q1 2020 is what the projections are for it. That I am assuming, I haven't seen much on it, is going to be driven directly from Alarm.com's dealer portal and end user portal. There are plenty of definitely other options available out there. You know, as John's mentioned several times, feel free to give us or your distribution partner a call with more questions. We are more than happy to answer them for you. Are there any questions at this time?
Dave, I do have a question that's come in as you've started presenting on access control. What would be your recommendation for the best replacement for Siemens XTI panel?
Well, if we go back, if we're going to a Simon XTI, I would lean towards either the Qualisys or the 2 gig would be kind of your two best self-contained. Both Alarm.com, they both have, you know, some variants, but they're the closest to that type of a panel.
Okay, I've got another question here. Do you know how long the apps will be supported?
We haven't. Actually, John, you've dug a little bit deeper into this, especially putting this together. From what we know, they're still going to be supported. The hardware will not be produced, but we haven't given any end life to it at this point.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure on the app side of the house. I can reach out to our distribution or our Interlogix contacts and find out. If I can get the contact information who was asking that question, I can definitely dig into that further. I have a daily conversation with the folks at Interlogix.
Yeah, I know one thing that kind of really plays into that I've seen with other companies is, especially on the Apple side of things, the iPhone side of things, is they push a new update through, and sometimes that requires updates to happen to the software for it to be compatible, and oftentimes that gets lagging, but I'm not sure how long they're going to support it.
I will absolutely connect you with John and Dave so that we can get that question answered after the webinar as well. I do have a couple more here before we move on. What is the closest product to the NX8 panel? Do you have any idea?
The NX8.
It'd be more of the DSC Neo. I've heard that from one of my dealers in specifics that he compared them very, very closely, and that's why he's switching to DSC Neo.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say either the DSC Neo or the ELK, probably.
Thank you. We do have a comment here, not a question, but for your information, Magnasphere also manufactures wireless contacts compatible with Interlogix.
Yeah, actually, I suppose we forgot to mention that up on there. Yeah, they do. Any other questions, or are we fairly caught up with those?
We are. Please continue.
All right. And the
So I realize that
you,
thank you. I realize that you all have existing relationships with other distributors. Of course, leverage your existing relationships to ease this transition. Make sure your distributor can get you in contact with any last-minute requests to Interlogix on timelines or product issues. Make sure they can get you in touch with the vendors that you are converting for special pricing, product demos, or anything else that you may need to make the transition easier. But don't hesitate to contact APD with any questions. Even if you don't plan on buying from us, we're here to help. So below is my contact information and contact information for both of our branches. Like I mentioned, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns. I know this has been a short webinar, but feel free to follow up with us if you have any questions.
Folks, you can go ahead and ask any additional questions you may have in the control panel for John and Dave. I do have one here, if you have the information. With the 5G conversion looming, how long will the NX modules for Alarm.com be available?
That's a good question. I can follow up with Interlogix. I'm working with Alarm.com directly to see if we can get set up with them. in between conversions in the past. Alarm.com manufactures these radios, and we've been able to receive and get them from Alarm.com directly. But I'm not sure what that timeline looks like, what they have in the hopper for 5G. I know that from the 3G to 4G conversions to LTE, we'll be able to get some radios here, and we're stocking up to make sure that we can handle the conversions you guys are doing currently. But for 5G, I don't have that timeline in front of me or what Alarm.com is going to do.
I'm going to add a few slight notes to that. The one thing to keep in mind with 5G, 5G is built on the same technology as 4G. So 5G is essentially backwards compatible with 4G. You just won't get the bandwidth from it.
Okay, thank you. Should we expect that any of the back orders will be filled? We've been having issues getting True Vision recorders.
We've had them come in. There has been a few day lead times, but a lot of the products that we're seeing, they are indeed manufacturing. If there's certain model numbers that you're curious about, we can talk about it offline, but we've been tracking our purchase orders with Interlogix daily. And every time that we've ran into a back order, within a week or so, it's been filled. So to my knowledge, besides, like I'd mentioned earlier, that UltraSync mod hub, and I did talk to Matthew Dupes in our contact at Interlogix today, they aren't running into production issues, and they have a lot of raw materials to build things. That's the intelligence I got today.
Thank you. For True Portal, are there any panels that will integrate with existing panels?
I'm sorry, you broke up a minute there. What was the question?
For True Portal?
For True Portal, are there any panels that integrate with existing panels? There's not that I'm aware of on that side.
Okay, we've got a few more here. How long will we have tech support for the NX8 panels? No.
So you're breaking up a little, but I'm reading them along as well. How long will we have tech support for the NX8 panels? Basically, they've somewhat committed through 2020. They've said they will maintain warranty commitments, and that's, I believe, UTC, making sure that that's being supported as well. So keep in mind.
And again, if I can get the contact information for who asked that question, I can definitely follow up with my contacts and rise it up the chain at Interlogix to find out that information. They do say in their letter that they are going to stand behind their product through 2020 and beyond, but I don't know what that level of support is. I mean, obviously they're UTC, a carrier division. They can make corporate decisions at any time to cut those ties, but I'll see if I can get some sort of commitment from my contact at Interlogix, if I can get the contact information for whoever asks that question.
Kenny will absolutely connect you with John. We've got another question here. Do either of you know, if they stop manufacturing, what are they going to replace equipment with for warranty?
That's a very good question. John, do you have any information on that?
This is just an assumption at this time, but I would assume they're going to hold back inventory at their manufacturing facility for warranty because they have to have that for legal obligations. Again, I can dig into that and get a firm answer for you and follow up with you. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I'm pretty sure they would have to for legal obligations. If they sold something and they have to have warranties, they're going to have to hold back some inventory for that. But I can find that out for sure and give you a for sure answer from Interlogix.
Mike will connect you with John and Dave. It looks like our questions have begun to wind down. If you have any final questions, go ahead and type them there in your control panel. All right, it looks like we've reached the end of our Q&A portion here. John, Dave, if you have any closing remarks.
Appreciate everybody for attending. And like I said, if you have any questions, concerns, even if you're not an APD customer and don't plan to be, reach out to us. You've got our branch information. You've got my cell phone, my email. Like I said, I'm talking to Interlogix daily. I'm talking to the other manufacturers daily. If you have any questions, I should be able to help you out with that, and our branch should be able to help you. And thanks for attending.
Thanks, APD, and thank you all for joining us today. We'll make those connections post-webinar, and you should be receiving a recording of today's session tomorrow via email. Have a lovely day.